Okay, so while I guess the pandemic-induced uptake in online shopping is certainly no secret, it is fair to say that the events of the last few years have accelerated e-commerce growth years into the future for us. And a recent study published only just a few months ago from Juniper Research estimates that global e-commerce payment transactions will tip 7.5 trillion by 2026. So looking back over this time period to where we are today, sitting here at the midpoint in 2022, and this trajectory that we're on, these have been some seismic shifts. What have they meant for our market, and how have they influenced our roadmap here at Ship It?
Yeah, well, obviously 2020 was a crazy year for all of us. It was certainly a crazy year for e-commerce, and openly networks choked. Networks couldn't cope with the amount of throughput in terms of all of us busy online, lockdown, ordering online. So it wasn't just COVID, it was the fact that 2020 was really a foray or a vision into the next 20, 30 years in terms of e-commerce consumption, and networks couldn't handle the amount of volume going through them. So for us, 2020 was all about responding to the market and enabling our customers to get products to their customers. We invested heavily in kind of fine granular level iterations to a customer's shipping profile. So we built a digital rules engine so customers could set which carriers they worked with subject to the almost weekly evolving nature of the market. I know Australia Post is in the room. We know there was the cessation of service several times through 2020. Our customers needed to respond to that. Accordingly, carriers bowed out of certain freight profiles because they were non-competitive, and they did that in arguably the worst possible way, where they added a $50 or $100 big and bulky surcharge onto orders, and it rendered our customers, or put them under a lot of financial pressure. So we invested heavily in empowering our customers to set rules in a really simple UI across all of our carriers, some 40 odd carriers on our platform. We also brought more carriers onto our platform to cope with the throughput in terms of freight, and we digitized our whole freight analysis process. So with the click of a button, an agent at Ship It speaking to customers could understand their freight profile, could explain to them intelligently which paths or which freight types were taking longer to arrive to their customers. And we tried to get our customers into the best possible position to respond quickly to an ever-evolving market. That normalized in 2021, and 2021 shifted from enablement to optimization. And a lot of our products that were seeded in 2020 were tweaked and became more sophisticated in 2021. Our digital freight analysis product became Shipping Optimizer, and now you can use products like Rules Engine and Shipping Optimizer together, where you can set the bounds of how you like to work with your carriers, and you can use Ship It's data through really simple UI products like Shipping Optimizer to preference either cost, speed, carbon neutrality, whatever is important to you, and I suppose whatever is important to the end customer in making the purchasing decision. So it was a cracker of a year, and it definitely changed our roadmap, and we definitely have to partner closely with our customers and work together.
And yeah, just to add on to what Jordan is saying, Craig basically took us through what I think is still an uncertain time, and we call those VUCA events, right? So volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. And so what we're seeing right now on the back of what Craig was showing is like COVID was almost like this black swan event that kick-started. I think we've got like maybe 5 concurrent events. If you think about the supply chain, goods production is being disrupted with the China situation. There's food in Europe. There's like shipping containers blocked or not enough of them. There's on the sort of the last mile. There's consumer confidence and even capital markets that are it's really impacting merchants' ability to restock potentially. So all that uncertainty has really led us to think, okay, well, how do we develop products to really help merchants get more resilience. And Jordan was talking about that resilience with the different carriers and being able to sort of quickly react. The second thing is around accelerating your learning agility. So really like fully understanding customers like really quickly, your logistics profile, dispersion profiles. And so we've worked a lot on providing a lot of that data to our merchants so they can make those decisions and obviously partner there. And the third one is really around that speed, making those decisions quickly.
Yeah, I guess that's very true. Look, in a network that's choked speed to customer, or the fact that the end parcel arrives at the customer becomes the optimal variable to solve for. 2020 was also the rise of the dark store. So obviously bricks and mortar retail vanished overnight, and subset of our customers who are omni-channel, who do have bricks and mortar network, they were left wondering what to do with this square meterage on Chapel Street, in Bondi Junction, prime real estate. So we did see particularly our dynamic, sophisticated omni-channel retailers basically turn what is a bricks and mortar operation into a dark store, which was a small pick and pack operation. And the thing that we were able to incept together is real on-demand delivery, like Ben and Lachlan talked to earlier. We invested there as well. We built an on-demand workflow that caters specifically for the nuances of an on-demand delivery, which is very different from a same-day, next-day delivery. We built out our recommended store API, so customers can be really intelligent about which or where, from a geographical perspective, they dispatch an order from, because obviously on-demand only works within certain geographical bounds. And what we found is we kind of, despite ourselves, we were building an ecosystem of products, rules engine, shipping optimizer, on-demand delivery, that made it really easy for our customers to leverage ShipIt and leverage the panel of carriers that sits on ShipIt to get their product to their end customer. But in 2021, it wasn't just about enablement, it was that they could actually do it in a really sophisticated way, solving for speed, solving for cost efficiency, solving for carbon neutrality. So logistics became a lot more intelligent through 2020 and 2021.
Thank you. Certainly a very interesting time, and Remy, thank you as well for the acronym. In product marketing, I'm always on the hunt for a new acronym, so VUCA, that's in the pocket now. Okay, so these events have certainly ushered in a fairly unprecedented level of channel switching, and by that I mean shoppers are moving around, and they're moving around online, and their historical loyalty channels, the channels that they shop through, the brands that they're shopping for, have been disrupted. By some accounts, as many as 75% of consumers have reported experimenting with new shopping behaviours, again, predominantly online, and many of them cite convenience as their top priority number one. So with these changing and evolving consumer expectations towards speed, convenience, optionality at checkout, the experience, how has the market and indeed ourselves here at ShipIt, how have we collectively stepped up to this challenge?
Well, I mean, I think everyone here has shopped on Amazon. They started in 2018, and they've really elevated the bar in terms of like speed, and they're continuously investing in warehousing and disrupting actually our carrier network. So that's obviously quite hard to keep up with working with traditional carriers. But as ShipIt, we really want to provide and enable all our carriers and our merchants to try and match that experience. We've got our friends at the Iconic as well, right? With the returns, we've spoken about that with the impacts to about 30%. Some stores are 30% in returns. So obviously that all comes down to cost. And then Uber is obviously foraging away in that delivery experience and now delivering pharmacy items, groceries, in real time. You really can see where that's tracking. So clearly that's really so different companies are essentially elevating the benchmark, and that's making it hard for merchants to compete. And so as Ship It, we're really trying to think about how we can provide a level playing field for all merchants to deliver those experiences.
Yeah. Absolutely. What's the saying? That your last best experience becomes the standard or the benchmark for the next. Look, experience matters. We're all consumers. We all work hard for our money, and we all like to spend that money on experiences that at least meet our expectations. Comes down to CAC to LTV, right? That's kind of the theme of 2021, especially after all of the challenges we had from a supply chain perspective. The cost to acquire a customer is only really important when you think about the lifetime value of that customer. And through COVID, and the lockdowns, there were certain nuances around delivery. You know, we were at home, we were on Zoom, we were in the office, a hybrid model. The way that customers received their product became particularly important, and optionality was important. So from an experience perspective, it's long fascinated me that e-commerce businesses, omni-channel pure plays, they spend a hell of a lot of money on conversion rate optimization, right? Think about the funnel, checkout page, page one, credit card details, conversion, but they don't mirror that investment on what I would argue is a more impactful or equally impactful side of the delivery. Sorry, not the delivery, the consumer experience, which is the delivery, right?
And that impacts your LTV.
Exactly right, and that impacts your LTV. So I think that if we reimagined logistics in 2022, to use kind of Mary Meeker's frame, these traditional service levels, same day, next day, express, would perhaps be less relevant. And what would be more relevant is when the customer wants to receive the product, how much they want to pay, whether they want to collect that product from a PUDO network, whether they want the interruption at home and have that end parcel delivered to their home. The experience, Ship It caters for a lot of different customers, and the difference between receiving a 100 kilogram fridge or a king size bed versus perhaps a t-shirt or a hoodie is significant. So we need to give our merchants the ability to give their customers options in terms of how they wish to receive that parcel. That leads to experience, to Remy's point, and good experiences drive repeat purchase. And that's the CAC side of the equation.
And there's even like a generational expectation, right? Those new buyers are ruthless when it comes to, bad experiences. Like my wife doesn't shop at ASOS anymore. Like she's done with them.
Absolutely.
Just because she didn't receive the order on time.
Exactly right. It's the water cooler conversation, right? Like I spent $150 with any brand, and I had this terrible experience. Yeah. There's a funny meme that came out of COVID where a commuter has taken a photo of the City Rail board, and there's like 3 trains, and one's 4 minutes delayed and one's 7 minutes delayed, and it's like hashtag Sydney trains, oh, you wanted a train today. Now, a train coming 3 to 7 minutes late, not a big deal. But I think why it is a big deal is because there is a consumer expectation that things work, that the things that we buy, the things that we purchase, the things that we invest in work for us. And when that falls through or the expectation is not met, it leads to bad experience. And it's much easier to keep a happy customer than to find and source and pay for new customers.
Certainly the cost of a bad experience, right? So back to the earlier research piece. Forecasting that global e-commerce transactions will exceed 7.5 trillion by 2026. That's a staggering number. And if it comes to be, that would equal a 55% growth rate over the next 5 years. That same research piece, and indeed many others as well, all agree that physical goods will dominate the online spending. With that particular research estimating that that physical goods would account for somewhere in the vicinity of 82% of global e-commerce transactions. But irrespective of what that growth rate is, I think the undeniable fact here is that online penetration is up. E-commerce growth will continue, and it will continue to be fueled by physical goods. which, as the name suggests, they need to be picked up, moved, and delivered. So, in my view, a shipping strategy is a fairly undeniable part of this puzzle. So, what do you guys think? Multi-carrier, single carrier, what are they? What do they mean? Can you take us through that?
So, well, you know, we do this internally at ShipIt, right? When we think about strategy, it has to be really tailored to the merchant or to who's. So you need that optionality. So strategy starts with the ambition, what you want to do, and then where strategies fail often is in the capability, and you either overestimate your capability or you underestimate it. And so what we found, particularly during COVID, that merchants that were literally leveraging all the full capability of ShipIt and not just relying on, you know, it's like buying a Ferrari and you're just driving in first gear all the time. You don't realize you've got multiple other gears, right? So it's really understanding the full power of ShipIt, and we found that those merchants that really leveraged that optionality actually came out a bit stronger post the obviously during this time of recovery. Yeah,
absolutely. Look, I am a firm believer that a multi-carrier shipping strategy is the better of the two, if I can frame it so elegantly. Look, we have a broad panel of carriers on the ShipIt platform, and our product, our digital products, rules engine, shipping optimizer, digital freight analysis, our insights, our data insights, they work best because they leverage the strength of 40 carriers. And all carriers were not made equal, right? And certainly through COVID, we learned and we saw, and I think carriers themselves discovered that they do not want to be equal. They want to specialize in particular freight types, particular paths, particular serviceability zones. You know, what it takes, you know, a king-size bed, again, and an iPhone, very different networks need to be built to support the movement of those two products. And if you do use a multi-carrier shipping strategy, with ShipIt's help, we can recommend cheapest, fastest. You know, we talk about without waste. If we think about carbon offset, if I'm a mindful shopper, I might want to shop and get my parcel delivered with carriers that have a low environmental footprint. So you only really leverage on all of the power, the upside that carriers have to offer if you do have multiple carriers switched on or a multi-carrier shipping strategy. Perhaps if you are a mega retailer and you are dispatching, you know, north of 10,000 parcels per day, you will bias that operational elegance of a single carrier coming to collect from your single DC, and you obviously have significant negotiation opportunity because you have those economies of scale, you have that volume that you're purchasing with. But I'm a firm believer that multi-carrier is the way of the future, particularly as carriers, as I mentioned, begin and continue to specialize. The other thing that's very important that I'll add is reliability and redundancy. Having one carrier switched on or having a relationship with one carrier directly through a direct integration can be very dangerous. Networks do choke, and as I mentioned, COVID was a view forward of what things will be like if we do not intervene, if we do not solve the data equations and optimize in the decades to come. We saw in 2020, was it the Toll or TNT got hacked, and that basically hamstrung, I think it was Amazon's operation for a period of weeks. As a retailer, if you are leveraging the ShipIt platform, there are very few reasons to not have carriers switched on, even if it is in the background. And again, the power of our products like Rules Engine is you can have multiple carriers switched on, but you can have those carriers being used for very, very specific use cases on Fridays, if north of 20 kilograms, if going to far north Queensland, etc. So I'm a firm believer that multi-carrier is the best thing for our customers, and that's because I think it's the best thing for our customers.
Risk mitigation, right? So I know we're running short on time, and so we will need to wrap it up. But but the last 2 years have been crazy. And so looking forward for the next 2 years, what are there any thoughts before we finish here? Any thoughts as to the sort of the big ticket themes that we could keep an eye out over the next 24 months?
Yeah, so what I'm seeing is speed. So really trying to keep up with that expectation of it's speed and reliability. I would say so. And we're seeing like micro fulfillment and being able to make sure that the goods are at sort of arm's length, so that we can actually deliver the goods predictably. So that's number one. And number two, it's really about that delivery experience, of course, and return logistics. I think that's another theme that's coming through. But we've got to solve the cost and so the efficiency there. If we don't do that, then we're not really adding any value, so we shouldn't do it.
Absolutely. Yeah, similar thoughts. Look, the market's normalizing. Craig outlined the market normalizing, but e-commerce is going to continue to grow by orders of magnitude as we continue to shop both in-store and online. So CAC to LTV, experience matters. Cater for what your customers want. I think that's a very, very important thing to keep front of mind. And stock matters. Be more intelligent about how you hold your stock and where you hold your stock. Take advantage of the new service levels, the next-gen carriers coming to market, because I think that's a surefire way to meet or exceed customer expectations, especially if you use them to start solving for experience, tying that delivery experience into average basket size, etc. So go north of $100, buy those jeans for $150, get free on-demand delivery. That's a compelling value proposition. That's going to drive repeat purchase. So I think an open mind, a bit of optimism in terms of the future, and continue to meet or exceed customer experience, and you'll be right.
You'll be right. That's it for us, guys. We'll wrap it up there. Thank you. We've covered a lot of ground, but thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, Remy. Thanks, Stephen.